I will open the meeting, and the first order is the call to order and the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can, would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the United States, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
I've always known that someday I was going to flub that pledge up. Say it 1,000 times. All right. Welcome, everyone. We're happy to have those of you who are guests tonight. The first order of business then will be the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jason, and second, Paul. Any discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. John? Approval of the agenda. John?
He said yes.
Dave, yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Izetta?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Tonight we have some presentations. The first one is a student presentation, middle school. Who's going to do the introductions?
We'll let Mr. Matthews go ahead and
All
introduce
right,
the student.
good.
Good
Mr.
evening,
Mayor.
everyone. I'd just like to introduce Marcus Hafner. He's with us tonight. When I asked for input from the staff of which student they would like to represent the middle school, across the board, every single one of his teachers, Marcus was number one on the list. So I'm proud to introduce Marcus to report to you this evening. Marcus, go ahead.
Hello, I am Marcus Hafner, and I'm just going to be talking about how school has been going so far. And I'd like to start out with some good things this year. I think one really good thing has been being able to do sports, just because it's getting kids active and doing things outside after being in quarantine so long and having to sit on their Chromebooks at home for a long time when they're not in school. And I have actually played several of them. I did soccer and swimming, and I am currently doing wrestling. Another good thing so far this year has been being able to be in person at all, just because it started out with COVID and we weren't sure if we'd be able to have a school year or not. This always happens with middle school, but there are a lot more classes that I can do from going from middle school to elementary school, and there are advanced and accelerated classes, which has been nice for me. A few bad things. Some of these are unavoidable just because of COVID precautions. One thing is technology doesn't always work. Like sometimes Wi-Fi is unstable, so you can't do work. Things like that happen, like your Chromebook breaks. That's happened to a couple people in my class. And there's less time in class because there's 3 days for hybrid students where they're not in school and they have to do virtual learning. And for virtual students, they're not in class at all. And for some people, this really isn't a problem for me. There's a lot more reading because the teachers can't just read it to you. I don't mind that. I love reading, so it's not a problem for me. But for some students, they do struggle with that. and they don't have as good a reading comprehension, so sometimes they don't always understand what is being told to them or what is being asked of them. And usually, like I said earlier, you have to spend all of Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on your Chromebook, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday if you go Thursday and Friday. And another one of those things that you just can't get around are masks. Nobody really likes wearing the masks in school, but can't do anything about that right now. And a lot of times there's a lot of distractions at home when you're doing school, so you don't get as much done. But really, so far this year hasn't been very bad for me. I've been able to do well. And it's been pretty good so far.
Good. We're glad to hear that there's been some good positive things for you this year, in spite of all of the long distance learning you've had to encounter, and that you've managed to get your sports in. That's fantastic. So we're glad for that too. Good for you.
One thing about Marcus is on the announcements here at the high school, they said he was 5-0, and I congratulated him as a wrestler. Being 5-0 is pretty impressive. But then he corrected me. He said, actually, I'm 5-1. So he's a very honest guy, and we really appreciate him at the middle school. I think he represents every good thing our district and our school has to offer.
Well, that's great. It's
5-2,
it's also, you have a real understanding of what's tough for a lot of kids dealing with this right now. So thank you, and thank board members. Do you have anything you would like to ask Marcus, or?
Cindy, I have one.
No.
Yes, Paul.
Hi, Marcus. I'm Paul Stesky, a board member. My question is regarding your Wi-Fi and cable. Was that at home or at school or both?
Usually just at home, but I haven't had any problems. I know some students do, but it's been good for me. So it hasn't been a problem for me as much.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Great.
I have a question, Cinda.
Yeah, Tina.
How about, do you have any advice for your classmates that aren't as having a successful time? Anything you can do to help them out? I don't want to put you on the spot, just something to think about.
I actually, at the start of the year, I wasn't doing too well with virtual learning. To be honest, I wasn't great at that. But I just have been able to be more focused and set down on time. Really, what the problem with me was at the beginning was I wasn't checking all the classes, so there were others that I forgot about. But one thing that they can do is they just need to be more focused.
Yeah. Do you think it would be helpful to have like a group meeting where
And a lot of
you could
teachers
share ideas?
do offer late policies, so people just need to make sure they yeah. And some of my friends at school do that. Some
Okay.
of them, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they'll have a Google Meet.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
Great.
I have a quick question.
Linda.
Marcus, what are you looking forward to most getting back to school full time?
Did you hear that, Marcus?
Probably just being able to see people more often. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Probably just being able to see people more often and to be able to have more time with the teachers in class so that they can do more of the instruction. Because a lot of times you'll have some of that on Monday and Tuesday, and then you just work on the stuff that they assigned on the days that you're in school. So you're not learning as much.
Great. Well, thank you ever so much for being here and sharing with us. We really appreciate knowing how things are going for you, and we hope things continue to go well, and wish you lots of luck in your wrestling. So have a good rest of the year. Thank you.
Yes.
We will turn now to the next presentation, which is SWBR and campus construction. Not sure who's going to start out on that, but
I can start. Hi, everybody. This is Kevin. We are going to flip the format a little bit. I'm going to pass it over to Steve with SWBR to update the board of the current state of the middle school.
all
Great.
right.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, so as the board may be aware, unfortunately, construction work at the middle school building is currently shut down. A Department of Labor inspector made a site visit last week to review the auditorium and adjacent spaces in response to concerns raised related to asbestos abatement. So previously, I think it was reported that we had a red floor coating on the auditorium aisleways that was discovered and was tested positive for asbestos. When we got that positive test, we closed down the auditorium and adjacent corridor. The contamination assessment was performed as required by the Department of Labor regulations. It was performed by an abatement inspector, and their job was to define the limits of the contamination, which they did. They submitted that to the Department of Labor along with a site-specific variance application, which is also required in situations like this. So the Department of Labor did review that and approve that. However, the Department of Labor inspector came out last week to look at that, and we have been in correspondence with the Department of Labor and with each other on this. A plan is being developed. We hope to have more information in the future regarding the next steps. However, at this time, we do not know the impact on the project schedule. One thing of note, there is an asbestos abatement package for the auditorium that was put out after we had originally received the approval by Department of Labor. What we did with that was we extended the bid for 2 weeks, hoping and pending further review and resolution of these new Department of Labor requirements. So once again, we hope to have more information in the near future, but for tonight, this is all the information we have. So before I turn it back over to Kevin for the typical CM monthly update, I just wanted to ask if there's any questions about the information I just presented. Yeah, just know that we are working very closely with the CM and with the asbestos inspector and with the district. We've been in pretty much constant communication or very frequent communication since this information was brought to our attention, and we are working diligently to get it resolved so that we can update on what steps are being taken and what impact that will have on schedule.
So you don't have any timeline, even a guesstimate?
So we had extended the bids by 2 weeks to March 23rd. So it's our hope that we have everything resolved so that we can be receiving bids based on the information that Department of Labor has brought up, their questions. So we hope that that's the timeline. But as I sit here tonight, we just don't know. So as soon as we do know, we will update Mike Pullen and the administration, and we'll make sure that everyone knows everything we know when we know it.
So if I could, I just want to extend a little bit more info on the bid package. The intent and strategy right now is to work through the Department of Labor constraints, or if scope changes at all, we want to add it by addendum to the current bid package that's out so that we can procure it under the district's procurement policies and not lose more time and efficiency. We want to have the efficiency of that current project that's being bid.
Yes, Jason?
Do you see them opening up the second and third floors during this so that at least some work can get finished there?
So as I understand the process, once we resolve the Department of Labor's questions, there will be, the contamination boundary established, and it will be closed off just as it was before. So when the boundary was closed off before, work was continuing. But given this latest inspection, they ordered that the work shut down. They're going to have to go through that process again. If the new boundary is established and walled off, then the Department of Labor would allow work to continue, but they need to agree on the boundary of contamination. Once again, they agreed on it once before. They came out, did an inspection, have some questions. We're working through those questions with the intent of establishing, once and for all, what that boundary of contamination is.
Are they able to work outside the building to finish? Is there anything on the outside that needs to be done now?
That's a good question. I'll turn that over to campus. The Department of Labor, I don't believe, has shut down any work on the outside of the building.
No, we don't. We don't think so either. Everybody's kind of off. There's the remaining work outside the building is the final top coating in front of the north entrance. So the asphalt plants aren't even making asphalt yet, so it's been shut down. The other exterior door improvements have been shut down because there's the crossover between the outside and the inside. But when weather allows, if this by chance is still held up, I think the exterior improvements would be able to continue for sure.
Were there any punch lists? Has anybody walked through to check on punch list items, or has anybody done that knowing that the inside of the building is shut down, but you can still work on the outside? I guess my question is that we've moved that process up to maybe not waste all the time. Just see if there's anything that might be seen by the final inspector, whether that's Michael or whoever he's designated.
Right. So I think we can definitely talk about the status of punch lists and punch lists moving forward at the OACM meeting tomorrow. But at this point, access to the building is restricted.
No, I mean on the out. I'm talking about the outside.
On the outside. Right.
Maybe somebody could if you thought about possibly taking a walk around with somebody and gathering punch list items now so that something can be done.
Understood. Yeah, so Appel Osborne is the landscape architect there. They have done an initial punch list on the work that was done previously, but it makes sense, really. Yes, you're right, to get ahead of that. And normally you wouldn't do that punch list until everything was done, but given the limited amount of work there, it does make sense to check in with them.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kevin, so go ahead. Sorry, any other questions?
So I guess I do have a few updates that were for improvements that were accomplished since the last meeting prior to the shutdown. The flooring contractor remobilized and got tile flooring down in the cafeteria and in the music room. It pretty much leaves just the first floor corridors in the ELA rooms to complete. The old main entrance door and transom panel system was replaced. Screens were installed in the windows, and the window restoration contractor, BRG, that was awarded in January, they did mobilize in the middle of February and started the restoration work until early last week when they were shut down. So it was limited of what work got completed before the shutdown, but those were the highlights. So with that, we're again, does anyone have any specific questions or areas that are of concern? Or go ahead, John.
I don't have a concern. I have a positive. The pictures that you attached to your report showed the window trim And having been there for years and years and knowing the community, it matches really, really well. And I think that the window trim and the wooden window trim gives a lot of history to that building. So I'm glad that you matched it so well, and it looks good.
That's great. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? All right. Hearing none. Thank you very much for attending tonight and giving the update.
Okay. Enjoy the
Thank
rest
you.
of the meeting. Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
We move on to reports and correspondence. Mark Matthews and Brady, I think you have a improvement plan update.
We do.
Okay, it's all yours.
Am I able to share the screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Thank you. Just one moment. I'll pull it right up. All right, let me just get to the right page. Excuse me. All right, good evening, everybody. Nice to see everyone here this evening. We're here and I want to welcome our school leadership team, Ben Stopka, Kelly Cole, Ashley Gerstner, Brady Farnant. Jill Ritchie is another one of our members. She couldn't make it this evening. We are focusing on relevance in teaching and learning, responsiveness to our students and our community, and building and facilitating relationships among students and the school community. So I want to just take a moment. I'm going to just slow down a little bit here. You may remember this goal from the summer and from our presentation this fall. And so far this year, we have had 2 administrations of the Ames Web assessment. You may remember Ames Web, it's a norm referenced assessment tool, and it's used to measure progress in reading and math. So our goal at the top of the slide, 90% of students will be average or higher, and well above average will increase by 10%. So 90% of our students, our goal is that 90% of our students will fall in the gray or green. Here we have average, above average, and well above average. So the goal is that those 3 columns would equal 90% or better. Also, the green column would increase by 10% during the course of the year. One element I want to point out is that over here in the left column, the fall of 2020 is in black. The winter of 2021 data is in red. And as you go down the column, all the percentages that are in black are from the fall, and all of the percentages that are in red are from January. So with that, I thought it would be appropriate, instead of throwing a whole bunch of numbers at you, to highlight grades 5 in this row and grade 7. We'll get to 6 and 8 when we're looking at math on the next slide. So in grade 5, you can see the black is the fall administration and the percentage of students who fall within each range. You can see at far below, we haven't made much impact there. We've had some impact in this group from 22% to 13%. And you can see as we move across, the biggest gain is at the well above average. We went from 3% of our students who are well above average to 12%. That's quite a move. Moving students from below into average and above average and well above average is something that we're very pleased to see. One of the things I want to point out is that grade 5, we're in the first year implementing collaborative classroom. And there are certain components that seem to be working really well for our students, and certain components that we need to work on. But at grade 7, we don't have collaborative classroom, and we see more of a plateau. We see a lot of similar percentages of students falling into these categories. So what we're looking to do is replicate some of the things that collaborative classroom offers to our students in grade 5 and bring those things to grade 7. One of the pieces is independent reading. Collaborative classroom allows students to read books of their choice. It gives them the opportunity to practice certain skills they're learning, and also to meet with their teacher for conferences about what they're reading. At grade 7, our plan here is to move forward with more circulation in our library. We're finding a lot of our 7th and 8th graders are not reading independently as consistently as our 5th and 6th graders. So we want to encourage that in them. And this spring, we're really going to be pushing hard to encourage that independent reading in our students. So moving on to math, I had a similar approach, different. The tables is set up exactly the same. Our goal is 90% of students to fall in average and above average and well above average total. And that well above average would increase by 10%. Again, that's that green category. So to contrast a little, we see at grade 6, plateau, some progress here in above average. It really means a couple of students moving during the assessment. In grade 8, we see some slight gains. We see some improvement in the well above average category. But overall, I would say that we're seeing plateaus in our student progress and achievement so far this year. Our response for math is to bring in some more number sense practice in every math lesson. We're looking at our program. We're looking at the Ames Web outcomes to see what's missing. And we're trying to plug the gaps at the point of contact in our math classes. You will hear the theme as we go through the next slides of using the tool of Ames Web more efficiently and more effectively in our classrooms and our professional development. So I'm going to turn it over to the next slides. I wanted to slow down a little bit here, but again, the recurring theme is we're seeing some growth, some promising practices, some plateauing, and we're looking to use Ames Web as a tool to improve that trajectory in our student achievement.
So when we look at our curriculum and professional learning goal, what we really wanted to focus on was being responsive to our students. And that means that if something's not working, then we wanted to abandon it and really figure out how we can make everyone grow forward. And that would also be by providing relevant PD for our staff. And we focus on pre-assessments quite a bit, along with data analysis. So empowering teachers to also look at this data and figure out how that can inform their instruction. So our main goal is really to focus on student achievement and using common assessments to demonstrate growth for all of our students.
As an SLT team, we have worked together to create videos that highlight a range of pre-assessment strategies that can be implemented into the classroom. Each member of the team has created a video that we've shared on our weekly updates with the staff, and the videos include the resources and how to use them in the classroom. We have discussed taking pre-assessment strategies that are shared out with the teachers and provide them with time to implement them in the classroom. The grade level teams will come back together to reflect on the strategies and how the feedback from the pre-assessment has driven their instruction. The 6th grade team adapted their schedule to meet the needs of the students by extending periods of time for all content areas in response to the work that they've done with Collaborative Classroom. The 7th and 8th grade level teams are reviewing the AIMSweb data, and the content area teachers will share ways that they can provide instruction in areas that are identified for students based on the results from AIMSweb. And us also as a team working to help create strategies and support the teachers as well. There will be whole group and small group instruction provided based on the AIMSweb data. And we're going to work on creating AIMSweb training designed for teachers and teaching them how to generate reports and complete progress monitoring.
So community engagement has been something that we've really focused on this year. We've been trying to use every opportunity possible to get our students and families involved in what we're doing at the middle school. On the next slide, you'll see some of those things that we've worked on. Part of creating a great community is really accentuating the positive things that are happening in our school. And while we're all dealing with a lot of difficult situations, I think we're all, really impressed with how our students have continued to adapt and really excel through this whole pandemic. We've been having, Mr. Matthews is doing daily video announcements for the students, which is really great because even if they don't see him in the building always, that is a great way for them to check in with him. We do shout outs for students, both academic progress, and we've been able to share a lot of their athletic achievements as well, which has been really great for the kids. They're very proud of what they're doing on their sports teams as well. They also are recognized on their birthday, which is a really special thing, even for kids in the middle school. Our teachers are sharing lots of grade reports with families to let them know how their students are performing. 5th and 6th graders are really excelling at their writing workshop. They're doing a lot of different types of writing and are really coming into their own as authors. That connects to what our 7th and 8th graders are also doing in ELA with writing some short stories and sharing those in the community also. We have National Junior Honor Society students recording themselves reading books, and we're able to share that with the younger students in the district, which is just such a wonderful way for our older students to be able to give back. We've been doing all our awards ceremonies on Zoom, so parents can tune in from work, from the parking lot like I'm in right now, and picking their kids up from sports, wherever it needs to be. We've been able to connect using the technology we have. We've had a karaoke night, and we've tried to really give our students rewards for all of the work they're doing virtually. We know how difficult it is when a teacher isn't sitting right in front of you saying, come on, you can do this. So for the 5th and 6th graders, we've done our Cougar store, and they've earned Cougar coupons to spend at the store for all of the assignments and the hard work that they've been showing. So we've got a lot to celebrate at the middle school.
Multi-tiered systems of support, or MTSS as we like to refer to it, is our process for providing the continuum of support to our students. So not only is it providing support, but it's also identifying those students that need the additional support. And with that, we're not just focusing on academics, but we're also focusing on the whole child. So we really want to address those students and be responsive to the academic, social, and emotional needs of those students.
As the MTSS team, we continue to develop our systems to be responsive to our students' greatest areas of need. Academically, we're expanding our implementation of AIMSweb to not only be benchmark assessment data, but to truly inform our Tier 1 instruction. We're training staff in the analysis of AIMSweb data and also in how to use the onboard progress monitoring tool. In addition, we're continuing to build our digital resource library of effective instructional practices related to the implementation and the use of pre-assessments and the data that we can glean from that. As these systems develop for our academic side, we're also working to refine our systems for social emotional support. We continue to expand and make our request for assistance easier so that it now includes teachers and families and all stakeholders in the district, so that we can really truly make it easy and effective to for students to receive the support that they need to be successful. Our hope is that together, these academic systems and our social emotional systems will really help ensure that our attention and our resources are focused on our greatest areas of need, and all of our students can be successful.
Our financial resources are allocated and entrusted to us with the expectation that we'll make the best fiscal decisions possible to support every child, and that every dollar is dedicated to increasing opportunities for students to be successful. We've kept this in the forefront of our minds as we've carefully monitored the middle school budget for this year and built the middle school budget for next year. Again, with every purchase request, field trip, and expenditure, we're thinking about how our fiscal resources can contribute to an environment that challenges and supports every child in meeting their goals. And with that, I wanted to pause and just to, see if anyone had any questions, comments certainly, for us at this time. And also thank you for your attention.
Board members, anyone have some questions or comments to make?
It seems like the Ames Web assessment is very important to the whole scheme at the middle school. In what format do teachers get the results?
That's a really good question. Part of our efforts to respond is to provide teachers with the paper reports. We've been working to get them familiar with the platform, like the site itself. And I think for navigation, it would be a little more efficient at this time if we would just provide them with the paper reports. That's a great question because that came up recently.
The reports also come out through, we can look at it as a cohort. We can look at it individual based on math, on reading. We can also break it down by skill. So it's a really intuitive program, and we're able to look at it in many different ways.
That sounds good.
I
also like the technology being used for the, I forgot which, the principal giving daily reports to the students, as well as the technology we saw in the classroom. I think that's great. It builds, as much as you can, it builds school spirit when there's two separate places and the whole student body is not with you. I think it's what you can do, and you do a good job of it. That's great. And then you have the karaoke night and all those kinds of things that are fun for kids. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Bogard.
Linda, did I hear you?
Yes, I just have a comment. The Ames Web seems to be a more prescriptive tool that probably is very helpful to the staff in figuring out where to go from where they are. But I'm also very impressed with how flexible and creative the staff and the students are too. It's especially given the circumstances this year.
I'll tell you, that's a real source of pride for me. The adaptability of the students and the staff. I mean, it's really been quite impressive, Ms. Egner. And I think as far as we have to support our teachers in building their ability to use Ames Web as a tool. I think that's part of our reflection from the mid-year point as well. But thanks for pointing that out.
Anyone else?
Mr. Sloan.
I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to say thank you for another great presentation. It's nice to see gains. I know that it's something you guys have been working really hard on for a while now. And you just got to remember that Rome wasn't built in a day. So take those gains and build off of them, because you're heading in the right direction.
Thanks, Mr. Sloan. I think we're probably our own worst critics when it comes to that, because we just feel real passionate, but I think you bring up a great point. It's important to keep that in mind. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cinda,
All right, yes, Paul?
I have a question for Kelly. Is she still with us, Kelly Cole?
Yes.
Okay. Kelly mentioned that the students were sharing their writings with the community, and I was curious to know how were they doing that?
I'm not exactly sure how the 7th and 8th grade is working that. I know for the 6th grade, we were sharing some with some of the younger students, and I believe some was going to be put up on the website, I think. But I'm not with the 7th and 8th grade teachers, so I'm not entirely sure how they're doing it.
7th and 8th grade, the 7th and 8th grade group, we're looking to recognize our readers and writers. So you can look towards our some of our Facebook announcements and things coming up this spring for 7th and 8th grade.
And also for 7th and 8th, I work with both grade levels. The students are just wrapping up a short story unit, and so the students are finalizing those edits. So those are definitely things that we're looking at to share out to the community, and still just determining how exactly that's going to look.
Okay, thanks. And so for Mark, are the students still doing the morning announcements with the video?
Right, so we have not been able to coordinate that very well this year. I'm doing the announcements, but I've looked at myself on Zoom for long enough to realize that I would rather have students. I'd rather have students doing it. But I think the coordination of it has been difficult. But we're excited that Maureen Sweeney is going to be coming back to work in person this week, and we look forward to trying to figure out how to make that happen. Get the students reporting. That would be so much better.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Statsky.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, well, thank you very much. Nice to have you all here, and great report, great update. It's also interesting to me to look at a picture and see the old school there in those pictures. Brings back a lot of memories. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good
you all. Thanks for everything you do. We appreciate you as well.
All right. And now back to the agenda. We'll move to the board liaisons. And Jason, would you like to start for the elementary?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Things have been going along pretty well at the elementary school. I see the messages every week, and I love the enthusiasm in those Monday letters. We got a couple things coming up. Virtual student material pickup will be on, well, it's tomorrow from 1:30 until 3:30. Just a little reminder for parents that are watching. Report cards will be sent home for UPK, K, and first grade on 3/26. And then spring pictures are next week on 3/16 and 3/18. Teachers will be getting the flyers out shortly for that. We have three employees that we wanted to spotlight this board meeting who've been doing an outstanding job. The first is Josh Neal. He's been working with UPK this year. His support and care for our youngest Cougars is nothing short of spectacular. And I'm using Mrs. Graves' quotes here, so don't think that I wrote that. His creativity and positivity are an amazing asset to his team and to our school. I've had two children in the school with Josh now, and he's always smiling. I mean, it's like the epitome of NRW, and I like running into him whenever I can. We'd like to thank Dawn McIntyre for the way she personalizes math instruction in her classroom, the way that she meets her students' needs with thoughtful questioning, intentional guided practice activities, meaning student engagement and success for all. Dawn's doing a really good job this year, and Christy wanted to make everyone know that she is. Julie Norris's kindergarten class has got some impressive reading skill development. Not only are they the sweetest students, from what I've told, they know how to show what they know during small group reading, sound manipulation, sight word practice, blending, and application in text is definitely something to be celebrated. The thing that I keep hearing from the elementary school, from parents in the elementary school, and community members alike are just the direction that it's going, and how thankful they are that their students are going to North Rose-Wolcott. It makes me feel so good when I run into a parent and I talk to them and they're like, God, North Rose Elementary is just doing a great job. And I've heard it a couple times this year. We don't hear positive reinforcement a lot, so I like to throw it out there when I hear it, and they're really doing something special down there. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jason. Tina, do you have anything to report from the middle school?
Yes, it's kind of an extension of what they've presented, but they wanted it shared, so here we go. Writing and literacy projects are going well. Teachers are feeling very supported by the administration, and any needs that they've been able to identify have been addressed, and they're feeling that that's going well. They've been encouraged to continue on the path they've established, and they feel like they're making progress. And sometimes the numbers that were presented don't make it look like there's a lot of progress, but when you look at the day-to-day stuff, teachers are really feeling very encouraged with their students. And we know that sometimes numbers don't really represent everything that's happening. The second thing that was shared is that the teachers have, and really the whole faculty, administrators, have been proactive. They reviewed the student profiles and are reacting and reaching out to those not making progress. They've kind of approached them and are hoping those that aren't as actively involved and are really with the Zoom, that they're not as involved as they'd like to see them be. So they've altered their model and to better meet their needs. They're not waiting, but reaching out prior to having the problems surface. So they've kind of reached out to parents. They've looked at students. They've encouraged some of those students to come into the building as opposed to staying on the Zoom platform as much. And they just want to address it before, knowing that there's issues there, that they're just trying to be more proactive. And they felt like there's been a good response to that. That's all.
Good, thank you.
Sure.
And Paul, do you have anything on the high school?
3 quick things.
All
And
right.
2 of them deal with sports. As we speak, the girls basketball team is in the quarterfinals. So that's exciting and they've been doing well. So I'm anxious to hear how they do tonight.
Yeah.
With regard to basketball too, you remember last month, Quentin Norris scored 1,000 points.
Yeah.
Well, not to be outdone, his sister scored 1,000 points also, even more.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And so, and then the only other thing that I wanted to mention about the high school is there's Dollars for Scholars going on right now. It's tonight and tomorrow night.
Oh. Okay. Okay, thank you. We will move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion, please, for approval of the consent?
Tina.
Tina, motion, and second. John. Discussion, questions? The consent agenda goes through the top of page 4 on your agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. John,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Izetta,
Yes.
and motion is carried. Consent agenda is approved. And now on page 4, number 5, we have a resolution for a SECRA report. A motion, please, for approval of the SECRA resolution.
It's a roll call.
Make a motion.
It is, yes. But Izetta, you've made the motion, a second?
I will.
Who? Linda, okay. Discussion? Tina, do you want to call the roll officially?
Yes, I will. Cinda,
Yes?
Linda,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Izetta.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is carried.
Thank you. Do we have any good news? We've heard a lot of good news tonight. I'm not sure we have anyone else that wants to say anything tonight. John?
The Wayne Times has an excellent article about Mark Blankenberg,
Yeah.
being a local northern Wayne County guy, and outlines his life, and it's I think we have a very good AD.
Yeah.
Got a couple, Cinda.
All right, Paul?
Our principal, excuse me, our superintendent made it in the newspaper again. This was about opening. And of course, he talked about the fact that we're limited by our guidelines right now and also by space. This is, I often talk about the students that have done well as far as academically, but I got a different spin on it tonight. Roger Cervantes Hernandez, and I know him because he played soccer, but so he's in the New York National Guard. He's been promoted to the position of private first class. I thought that was kind of cool. And then lots of sports activities. Actually, Marcos did a pretty good job. Marcos, our basketball teams have been winning, particularly the girls have been doing well. The wrestling has been doing well. So like we said, lots of good things happening at the schools.
Right. Good, thank you. Michael Pullen, do you have any updates you'd like to share with us tonight?
Sure, just 1 second. Let me get my screen shared so I can, go over a couple of quick things with you. All right, are you able to see all that?
No.
See,
Okay,
yeah.
hang on 1 second.
There it is.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to go through this real quick with you and kind of go right from the onset and kind of walk you through the Safe School Helpline. So I want to give Bridget Barr her recognition for this, because this is something that, we're going to add to our repertoire. You've heard me talk about it a little bit over the last couple meetings. This is fully operational right now. This is something that really came from our mental health support team and as part of our work for our suicide prevention plan. So Bridget was involved with both of those teams actually, and she was out researching some stuff. And this is really going to be very complementary to those two endeavors that we have going on. As you can see, we have an exclusive number. If you were to text tips to 66746, or if you were to dial the 800-418-6423 extension 359, that will kind of get you in touch with a live person 24/7, 365. And here are some of the issues that they'll really go ahead and kind of highlight in terms of whether, you're a bystander and you want to talk about, the potential for weapons coming to school, acts of violence, or, you're a bystander or a victim, where you've been subjected to some bullying type behavior. And then also for anyone who has concerns, of self-harm or suicidal ideation, or if you're observing somebody who's got some of those self-defeating at-risk behaviors that are listed below. And when we talk about that type of stuff, we think about the role of education and how it shifted over the past several years. It really is something that, has taken an emotional toll, and there is no stop to the actual workday, although the contractual days defined by hours, a lot of what happens for our staff goes beyond the day. So this is kind of like an added benefit and added insurance to kind of support some of our stuff. And for people who are concerned and don't want to report a name, or, they want something looked into because they're in fear of what's going to happen, there is the ability to report something anonymously. And I think really from our computer operations program, we have a safety net called Gaggle that Lisa Brower and her team worked with the district and enacted. This is really just going to be something that complements it. So Gaggle sends an email to a group of people and alerts them. But again, during the night when things are, a little bit less prevalent in terms of supports, this is something that we feel is really going to be a nice support system to our families, our students, and certainly our community. And it's accessible to all. I really want to kind of take the time to go back just a second and show you this video that Amanda worked on and created just to kind of support what this program is. And this link will be shown as part of a website, or our website rather, excuse me.
Mike, I think it's just playing the music and not showing the video.
So Megan, you were sharing something. I didn't quite catch that.
It played the music, but we didn't see any of the video.
Okay, let me see can you see the screen now or no?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can go back for that real quick. Now? To show it?
No.
Okay. So I guess you'll have to take my word for it that that'll be up on the YouTube page. And that'll be something that, is present. It's a real nice way to kind of highlight what we're doing as far as, a way to represent that particular program. So part of the other work that really we want to kind of talk to is actually something that the board had requested that we work on. Which is, again, offering up, a protocol and a chain of command for our families, so anytime we have a question or a concern, we want to resolve it at the lowest possible level. And really what that would start with is the classroom teacher before it escalates to a department chair or a building administrator, and then progresses up through the assistant superintendents, the superintendent, and then the Board of Education. Similar to the video that, we highlighted the music for, this is going to be present on our website as well. It kind of captures the communication chain. And Amanda's worked on some links to kind of show that this is also something that will give parents an out when they have some questions and or concerns. So that's part of the district website, and it kind of references the communication protocol, how to get in touch with the right people, and the phone extension as well as email addresses of those particular people. And it's something that she's working on creating magnets for, that will also kind of reference, something for people's refrigerators so that it's at a hand's reach or arm's length away rather. And then lastly, in terms of the communication protocol and the organizational hierarchy that the board had asked for, again, Amanda took some of my thoughts and how we see things working, and she was able to develop this protocol so that for parents and people who are wondering who they would contact with regards to certain matters, she put the flow chart together that we think references really a true representation of our organization and how it should work on behalf of the community. So that's it for my point of view. I think it's a nice way to kind of highlight, again, some work to support our children and our community in terms of the mental health supports and things of that nature. And then also an effective tool in terms of making sure we're communicating with the right parties in the right way.
Okay, good, thank you. Thank you very much.
Cinda,
Yes, Paul?
Mike, would you like to discuss a little bit about the strategic action plan meeting we had, or perhaps Megan, or would you like me to do it?
At this time, because we have some guests, I would say that we weren't intending on talking about it tonight. But certainly after we come out of executive session, I'm sure that that's something that, if we have time to discuss, I know that there's room for further discussion afterward.
Okay,
Cinda,
yeah,
I just wanted to do a quick summary of the 4 county school boards legislative committee meeting because it was this past Saturday.
it was. Can we do that, Linda, after the executive session as well? We'll move.
Sounds fine.
Okay. And also the nominations for the BOCES board members, was that something, Tina, you were going to, or Linda, who's going to deal with that?
We didn't have to do anything with that at this time. The next meeting we'll discuss it.
Okay, good. I'll cross it off for tonight. So at this time, we will be moving into an executive session. For those of you who are visiting tonight, we will be talking about, Linda will be reporting on the 4 county general membership meeting following executive session, and possibly an update on the strategic plan work that was done last Friday. But there will be no official motions or business of that sort after executive session. So at this time, I need a motion for the board to go into executive session to discuss a specific legal matter. Motion? Linda?
I'd like to make the motion.
A second, John?
Yes.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, John?
Yes.
Linda?
Yeah.
Tina?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Izetta?
Yes.
All right, we'll be moving into executive session in just a couple of minutes. And to those of you who are not going to return, thank you for attending tonight. And to those of you who are, we'll see you later.
At this time, I would ask all the public to please leave the meeting. I'm going to pause the recording. Carrie is not going to be able to rejoin the meeting.
Okay. Is anyone else joining us?
I don't have anyone, no.
Okay. Well, we are back in general session, and we will finish up our meeting tonight with Linda Egner and a report on Fork County. First of all,
My report is about last Saturday's meeting for the Legislative Committee. And we did have David Little, the Executive Director for Rural Schools, part of the New York State School Board Association, attended, and we had a lot of discussion about trying to make a more pronounced pitch for rural schools. So as a result of that, we're planning to write a regulation memo with some help. And one of the members on the committee has a template that's used for that. And at our next meeting in April, we're going to have Dr. Vicky Ramos from Fork County to talk with us about coalitions and partnerships that will really help us to get to that goal, because she's had experience in her past jobs that she's held. So we're all looking forward to that, hoping to get something that has some teeth in it to take to the legislators. And not just us, but with partnerships and other stakeholders as well, to make it more impactful. That's it.
okay. All right. And I don't know who, I know, Michael, do you want to give a quick update, or Megan or Paul? I don't know, on what happened Friday at the strategic plan.
Well, we could start with Paul, considering I couldn't even get a video to play for you, so I don't want to butcher that. But let Paul speak, and then certainly Megan can jump in, and then I will add anything that they don't cover.
All right. Paul?
It was a really positive meeting, and I think that's what I want to impress upon everyone at the most. Everyone was enthusiastic. I was just delighted at the interest and the sincerity of everyone in the room, really wanting to do good for the school, the excitement about the school, the trajectory of the school. Just you came out of there going, yeah, great. That's my 2 cents worth.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Megan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. It was a very positive and uplifting day. I felt like the committee really took the time to understand what the community had told us through the surveys, and took that information and trying to figure out how to make it into actionable items. Was pretty exciting to see how everybody could work together. And then we were lucky enough to have Linda and Tina there as well. So if you want to add anything, you can go ahead.
I agree. It was very uplifting experience for me as a board member. I think we can all agree that having a lot of positivity about our students and our families was well worth our time spent.
Yep, it really went well. It did. I thought it was a nice balance of what the community was looking for with what the school staff offered, and everyone worked well together.
Good. Good. Michael, do you have anything to add?
No, just that we're excited. We're moving forward. Our next session is on Monday, the 22nd of March. And then we follow up again April 8th on a Thursday. Both of those meetings are in the evening. They're both from 5 to 7. And truthfully, we hope that we have some reference material to share with the board. I would hope sometime in May, just so that we can start planning forward. And what I really am excited by is the fact that you're starting to see the work of the school improvement plans reflect where our strategic action plan is going to take us. It's a little preemptive type of thing. You're seeing a lot of our work centered on social emotional learning experiences for our students, and that we're really focusing the effort on the fact that we teach children and we cover content. And I think those big takeaways and the simplicity of what our program will look like and what our strategic plan will look like should give everybody a concrete reference point as to what's going to make North Rose-Wolcott great again. I think that Megan and the staff developer, Erica Ebert, have done a fantastic job of capturing, my thoughts and what I envision, and have really made it come to life. So I think that they deserve a lot of credit for the work Friday. And again, all the participants bringing, a very open mind and a very genuine and sincere interest in making our district better. So I think when you speak about all those facets, you can't help but be excited for what's going to come out of this plan.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
It's really a good note to end the evening on too.
All right. That gets us through our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Linda and Izetta. Any discussion? All right. All in favor? John,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Izetta.
Yes.
Motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned.
Night.
Night.
Good night, all.